LaSh versus
Ooh.
Dragevann, a series that should promise scoring on both sides.
This is very interesting. So I just saw the names in our chat here. I did not see the seeding.
Yeah. It's interesting as well because Dragevann got his IU that he loves to pick. LaSh also got his Malians. I think LaSh plays more Malians in competitive than any other Civ. But looking at their drafts overall, French, Byzantines, Mongols, opening game on Himiyama with Mongols usually as well. This matchup on Himiyama, there is a kind of cool play you can make as Mongols where you're expected to open racks, so instead of just opening racks, you go for a dock.
And
right?
Dragevann will go for a dock. Like
Yeah.
that is like he would do that 100%. And we have seen Anatan do this sushi build as well, where a Mongol tower rush would do, for the lack of better word, Jack.
As we wish it would do Jack Snow, considering it's like winter. They never do. But we'll have to see if it's going to do it. It looks like we've been beckoned in. LaSh vs Dragevann has just kicked off. Another round of 32 game here, folks. The Mongols, always there, Lumen. Not a pick that we'll see on the ladder much, but when we get into tournaments, it should be respected.
So yeah, the sushi build that I was talking a little bit about is not doing that. We're already 2 minutes 30. The thing I was talking about is where you basically cheat on your taxes by saying you had a lot of income. Wait, actually, you had a lot of income, but then you got taxed the same amount, but you had no income, and that. Somebody needs to figure out how the tax system for China and sushi actually work, because it doesn't make sense that. Yeah, but then if you cook the books, then you wouldn't actually be getting the resources.
Well, no, because see, what you don't understand is that this is a provincial government versus a countrywide government. So the provincials usually are cooking their books, meaning they're getting tax rebates from the overarching government. That's why China and Juji get more resources. It's because their income is being supplemented by the central government. There you go, Cal. Sorted for you, mate. If people would like me to invest their money, I won't, but I'll happily take donations.
So, meditation garden spot, actually pretty decent here. It's a little bit far out. Should have gotten a gold, though.
I don't think he got the gold. Okay, no. The map is so deceptive. Yeah, it's because we've got the hill situation that messes with it as well. So he has got the gold clipped. So 25 gold, 25 stone, 36 food, just a pretty normie one that you'd usually see. But other side of it, like looking at Dragevann spawn, that is about as comfortable as you can ask for as a Mongol player. Tree line, gold, secondary tree line. Berry's not too far away. I think he's got a nice start here, but we aren't seeing the expected opening that quite often happens on Himiyama, and I think this is in response to how quick Juji's tech is. Dragevann didn't go for the fishing.
Yeah, he ended up just going for pasture instead, right? Which, it's all fine, I think. The bigger problem for me, actually, is I can't remember when Dragevann played Mongols last.
I mean, that's because you can't remember Dragevann didn't play a Middle Eastern Civ.
I can.
Oh, English. Sorry.
This feels like... So, actually think... Let's talk a little bit about Volta Esports, actually, for a little bit of a second here, while we do have some downtime.
Is this like an advertisement campaign by you for Volta?
Shoot! So, for those who don't know, and for those of you who might have seen during Outback Octagon 3 as well, is that Matisse actually got the VES tag as well. And for those who don't know, and for those of you unaware, is that Volta Esports VES is a team that has League of Legends, and they do have Counter-Strike as well, if I remember correctly. That's in the northern-ish parts of Norway. And they've actually done a little bit of an investment into AoE. Whoa. So they actually supported a lot through King of the North, so they've been a big part of that as well. And what they've done now is that MSN, Ramen, and Dragevann, and Muhudo, which I think I saw in chat earlier, is now players for VES, and Matisse is actually their coach. So we actually have maybe one of the first like full-blown AoE 4 teams there is with a dedicated coach.
Now, hold
And
on. Are
players.
you telling me we have a pro team that has a full roster and staff in AoE 4 Cal?
We actually do.
And they are a Norwegian organization.
Not biased at all.
Wow.
So I think maybe this Mongol pick is something that Matisse and Dragevann has been working on a little bit. Because one of the things that we had a little bit of problem with when me, Ramen, and Dragevann actually played our team tournament is that none of us played Mongols. And Mongols is a pretty versatile civ, and it's a good civ to actually expand your civ roster with. So, you know, adding Mongols to your civ roster is not necessarily that bad, and I actually quite like it, especially considering what Dragevann is going for right now.
I mean, I think it's a solid thing to start prepping for, right? Is like, I've been vocal about this with, you know, Dragevann, MSN. I think that it applies to the Vest boys quite nicely. Is they have, I want to say 3 or 4 civs that they are really solid and really comfortable. And it's not that the other civs are terrible. It's just, if you match them up against like the top 10 players in the game, that's where they're going to lose, right? Is the lack of civ diversity will sting them. Like, it's critical, you know? Like, we're not StarCraft. We're not a game where you can play 3 heroes and be a pro, right? Or 3 civs and be a pro. You need to have that robustness, because although there are some civs that will never get picked, Order the Dragon, there is, you know, on average at least 12 that feel viable in any civs.
Yeah. And we've had tournaments where you could just repeat civ. Wasn't the most enjoyable to watch. So
I done a poll the other day where it's like, who wants mirror civs back? Nobody wanted mirror civs back.
I think it's actually a hot topic, and it's a hot take. I actually didn't mind GG. I didn't actually mind Red Bull's drafting system where the first pick could be a mirror.
Yeah, I was fine with that too. I said at the time, I kind of like, I don't mind it because it's so rare and specific. And also, it doesn't fully fix the issue of first pick or second pick being advantageous. But like, this is that issue in itself isn't an issue specific to AoE4. That's an issue that has haunted many a game. Right? Just like these villages right now being haunted by giant sticks through the gut. What is going on from Dragevann?
He snipes the horseman so he can run away from the spears as he's fighting the spears.
But spears charge, so...
And he does a wheelbarrow.
And now also your retreat pattern has been blocked by spears. This is catastrophic. I mean, he's at least got the tech up come behind this, but look at LaSh's economy, and remember how quickly he's usually build their age up. So this isn't really going to lead to LaSh feeling punished for this, being a tiny bit slower on teching up, but getting 4 worker kills in return.
Look. Step redoubt gives you... Okay, so actually, first things first, what does the step redoubt do, actually? Because we have not seen this landmark in a while, it feels like. It acts as a GER, but gold that is dropped off at this building also returned 50% extra gold. So if you do the math, and I am just going to say I'm right on this without doing any calculation, the 4 villagers that Dragevann has lost is made up by the step redoubt.
Yeah, as long as you have enough people in gold. Right, remember, technically, the...
Nobody check my work on this one. Nobody check my work.
So remember, you can actually gain up to 100 villages extra worth of gathering on the step redoubt. Statistically true.
Statistically true. Efficiency, however. Let's not talk about that.
You just need to get, like, maybe French Pass to come back or play King of the Hill. So this is a bit rough.
Good Hill and Dale spawn.
True. Well, I mean, I don't know if good is the word I'd use, but yeah, those pub ladder Hill and Dale spawns will probably get you what you're talking about there. We have more troopers coming in. He's literally losing this game to spears right now, and not that many of them.
Yeah. So This dare pack has costed him dearly. Pun intended. And it's gonna cost him more as well, because LaSh is pro scouting it now. And that is a relic snag. And if you pan up a little bit, Vodka, can you pan up a little bit from where that relic was? Where it spawned.
Right. It means that you're trying to address the fact that it's right next to his base, right?
Yeah, it's right next to his base, and it's also right next to a prayer tent.
But you have to.
So.
Oh man. Like, after that Spearman play, honestly, Dragevann kind of looked like a deer in headlights. I think he's been scrambling so much to secure the north side that he forgot there's more areas to this map. LaSh is just kind of outclassing on that detail, because although the UI might say that no one has got relics yet, we have 3 relics that are easily achievable for LaSh, right? We have 4 guys who can pick them up. I think this is a 4-1 relic split.
Yeah, I think maybe just the composition choice of Dragevann as well right now is a little bit rough. Like, maybe he's taken the complaints that we have had from pro players that man-at-arms and just heavy units is a little bit
But they're
broken.
OP.
He's maybe taking a little bit too much too hard.
Wait, I think LaSh is just going to rush you on. We made it though.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually might be working very well in his favor if his... Okay, never mind.
Why didn't you just shut your dirty mouth and let that monk live?
So one of the things though with Pro Scout that actually ends up happening a little bit is you end up having the same problem as Mongols, where you just like have everything in one spot. So it's very easy to dive and idle out economy, and that is a way for Dragevann back in this game. It is not throwing away units like this, because they're slow man-at-arms that has no bonus. Also, Bold Man says, give me back my shiny thingy, smacks him with a stick and
Me
takes back his
beat
golden
head
thingy.
till you give shiny.
Never mind. He's still gonna die though.
Me beat you too. Me if he was full HP, actually.
I actually genuinely don't know who wins this. Okay, maybe now I know.
Full HP, I think the Keshik might win with like 10
Yeah,
HP
but
left.
the problem is, like, we don't know if it's a knight or a bold man with a stick and a religious unit that's gonna win a 1v1.
But that bald man has trained his entire life with that stick.
I fear not the man who's practiced 1,000 punches once. I fear the man who practiced 1 punch 1,000 times, or whatever the saying for that is.
Just stick the one punch anime theme tune at this point.
Yeah. So yeah, LaSh is in a really comfortable position right now. I think he might still be a little bit uncomfortable, because there's one thing that has been lacking just
Is it feeding his people?
So, no, well, yeah, but also, I think, and I wonder if LaSh still has maybe just like the slightest, like, I'm not sure about trade.
Huh? Oh, you think he thinks Dragovan's trading?
Maybe.
No, he'd
Just
know because
maybe.
the Yam on the outpost, right? Like, and there's no way like you'd set up organic trade. What you would do, if you have a look at Dragovan's base, is build more TCs. Now, the interesting part is that LaSh, I thought we'd just get Yuan into Song, but he's just done Song literally straight into Yuan.
He wanted granaries?
He really, I think he just wants to press all the buttons. Like, okay,
I mean, to
what
be
is
fair,
the
like,
probability that in the next
LaSh-
minute he goes Imperial?
A little bit lower because he's no longer tank.
I mean, but like he has the gold income, right? And he has the food income. So it's literally just go Imperial in a minute.
So,
you know when you're trying to like give a serious commentary, Cal, and then it just feels, I don't want to say that LaSh is memeing, but it really feels like he's on a vibe right now, you know?
it is on his best vibe. So
it's just he must be so confidently far ahead in his mind, right? Like you could argue maybe he's missed macro, sure, but what, like the case in point is that he's sitting on 3,000 food, not 3,000 resources rather, not being used, and he's still a mile ahead of Dragevann.
yeah, and I do think at some point as well, like sorry, LaSh was even up at like 3,000 food there for a second, where it was just like, let me just age up. The better option, the better way to do this would have gone Imperial and then Song and then Juan.
Yeah, because the whole logic is that Yuan Dynasty only gives you a small discount on unit production. Now, you could argue that LaSh intentionally done this, right? He wanted to get the efficiency of pumping a lot of units at this point. But then there would have been no reason to do Xiangnan now, right? Like, you would have done Yuan, got your discount on all units, got your pagodas, and then saved Song for when you need to build granaries.
So, yeah, that is fair. One of the things that I would have said if this was a ladder game, there would be supervision of the pagodas, and then there would be Boltman.
But because it's not a ladder game, we couldn't recommend that to the guy who constantly has 2,000 food in reserve.
Because this is a serious game and he actually doesn't want to throw it, we're luckily not going to see that. Actually, no, sorry, let me rephrase that. We're unfortunately not going to see that.
I mean, you say this, but literally in the weeklies, in a competitive series, Dumu did exactly that to LaSh. So I wouldn't really write it off as impossible at this stage.
Maybe. But yeah, right now Dragevann, he's just kind of just dragging this one out. Dali Horse is coming through as well. He sees this, he knows what is up. He's kind of just dragging this one out. Dragevann must have picked up something from Kiljardia, King of the North, because he is one player who does not surrender easily, even though he is very much 6 feet in the ground at this point when it comes to Mongols. He can pack up his things and...
Well, it's also Dragevann is kind of like a Norwegian Donati, right? He doesn't like going past feudal age, right? We're already at the point in the game where Dragon's like, I kind of want to kill him by now. So at this stage, really, LaSh just needs to either push or just age up. Either one should just be convincing to Dragevann that this is quite over.
Old man fighting again with sticks, and I mean, so this is one thing Dragevann is pretty decent at, though, which is kind of just like spread out on the map and just take everything, like in terms of like, army. Not that much with eco, because as we see, he usually goes to end up a little bit greedy, throws a couple of villagers away for nothing, and ends up with that. Now, though, I think we're kind of just waiting for LaSh to kind of just figure out what's going on. And just deciding, all right, let's end.
Yeah, I think at this point he's like, oh, 2TC? Wow, I didn't expect this. And oh, wow, mass springolds. Gonna have to punish that. I mean, you know you're scraping the barrel when these things come out. He doesn't really even have that much of a front line, right? 6 men arms in total is not what I call grand here. The backstab is coming around here, so the horseman spearman reaching in, trying to kite away, but it means the crossbows are now being sacrificed because all his micro is going on the springolds. You want to be stepping away from this, unable to do so. LaSh, now with a dominant military lead, this should just be the point where Dragevann waves the white flag. This game has been over for probably about 8 minutes. Now it's becoming apparent to the player who doesn't have goal vision.
Yeah.
Right?
LaSh could not finish his off due to the fact that so much of his army is just behind. He added a second TC.
I mean, at this point, LaSh just really needs to go Imperial. Because if he goes Imperial, he immediately gets the imp speed. And then you can just dive into the back of the base, right? And clear the step read out. It's like, you know, I think he's done having his fun playing with his food. He reduced Dragevann to a non-existent army. Like, this is very simply... Oh, for God's sake. Or we could just build to 200 bomb. That is also technically an option, Cal.
So, yeah, I mean, this is one of the things I struggle with as well, right? So, I recognize the issue, and I'm always just unsure as to how to fix it. It is, and that the problem and the struggle is recognizing how ahead you are.
Yeah. But if we look at LaSh's vision, you can see part of the conundrum, right? Because like he hasn't built any scouts. I think this is a recurring piece of
But
advice
he
I
went
give to
pro
people.
scouts.
Right? Like, but there's no more deer, so who cares, right? There's like
Yeah.
maybe 2 left up north. The point is though, just build 1 scout, right? It's not much, it's 70 food. And you know everything about your opponent. You knew how dead they already are, so you can just make a choice. Instead, to your point, LaSh is playing paranoia that he needs to blob, right? Because of the risk that Dragevann might suddenly have another army. Now,
and
the picture's revealed, right? Like, these type of dives should make everything apparent to LaSh.
yeah, and you even see this, right? He's spreading out like on the northern side there as well. He's just spreading out everywhere, just making sure that like he's not out on any pocket resources. He's not sneaking anything, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
this is insurance for LaSh that like, okay, he's in his base, he's locked in. Everything I see is what he has. And there's a lot of static defenses, right, for Dragevann at least. So, but it's the hesitation of LaSh that's kind of.
No, it's also because of this choice to dive and dive again and the way he's done it, right? Like now the game just actually gets delayed from its finish point because he has to add in farms, right? So like if you look, his food income has looked really pathetic for the last minute and a half, 300, 350. Farms coming in now. Once that happens, LaSh will reach 200 very rapidly and then be able to tech as well. So like this game, bar LaSh making really, really poor fights back to back and then to back again, should just simply be over. Dragevann is going for the miracle Hail Mary of mass Ringolds. We have seen this work about
Once.
Yeah, I feel like if you were in a salami slicing accident and lost all of your digits and only have your thumbs left, you actually have the appropriate amount of expansions on your hand still left to count how many times mass Springles has worked, which is once or twice.
Once or twice. We did see LaSh there. He did buy a little bit of food, so he might want to go for Imperial soon enough.
Said that for the last several minutes, though.
This time, I believe it.
I mean, you sure? Because he could still just build another 50 units.
This time, I believe it, and I believe it.
Because he just queued up another 18 units.
This time, I believe it.
How about you just wait until it is 190 pop and then say this time, I believe.
Any day now. So yeah, LaSh is kind of just walling up the way. Oh my.
I mean, I'm like trying to figure out if this is a layer of respect, or maybe the other element is he just thinks this is going to get to Dragevann more this way, right? Like, because if you're LaSh, you're just having a good time in this game, right? Dragevann could not be having a fun time in this game at all.
What is that song from the meme where it's like this guy is just singing, and then you just like have his teammates who's just like drenched in sweat?
Oh, I can't remember the song. I know the meme gif you told me. Yeah. You got like the guy who's having a good time, and then you got the one that's like thumping the table and sweating, and yeah. So no, I get exactly where you're going. Like LaSh at this point is probably just like singing along to Dragostay or something, having a really good vibe.
Yes, payphone. Thank you, vodka. Yeah. Okay, I started loud way too high.
It's okay.
I started loud way too high.
I mean, like you might as well keep singing, right? Like we finally. Why do people do this?
This time, I believe it.
Okay, but I've got the bone to pick. It's usually live read. How long do you think before LaSh will queue up a tech out of that thing?
2 minutes.
And in 2 minutes, would you have enough resources to just go Imperial again?
Yes.
So, I'm once again asking, why do we keep opening with library? Y'all are gamers. You don't like books. That's very clear to me. You prefer your media to be more video-oriented. He could have the movement speed, man, for the raids. He could have had the pivot for, like, mass Nest of Bees, potentially. Which is funny because he's now actually going into Nest of Bees at a point where the Divine Defense from the Temple of the Sun would have been useful. Oh dear.
I'm okay. So I
Oh
don't
my.
want to sound like I'm coping, but I
Okay.
do see an avenue for Dragevann to somehow come back from this game. Because his two TCs at this point has started to
Please
make
stop.
a really good investment.
Every time we look at those springboards, I think B, and then all I can hear is like, did you play like Call of Duty World at War? When the Russians would win and the victory anthem came on. All I can hear in my head right now. If he wins with this, oh my god, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I mean, it's
Okay,
20 spriggles.
so
It's too many.
quick question: what did more damage to that gate, the Keshik or the Springles?
Hey, those Springles only need 1,250 shots to kill that wall cow. Come on.
All things considered, that's not too much.
Not with their attack speed buff, right?
Yeah, 10,000 bolts has come through though, so we are at about 2 minutes after
That's
the sushi.
what Springles are missing. We need to give them an imp tech that gives them a second bolt.
So, for those who don't know, there was a bug on the pup when the siege rework was coming through.
Yeah.
That Mongols, the old tech for improved tech, the math was wrong. So instead of being additive, so it was 30% plus 30%, it was 30% times 30%.
There we go.
So Springles just went brrr.
So they were good. Damn, we were so close. We have Kargan Palace now on the way for Dragevann. And then we can see the improved shot triggers. I mean, it's cheaper than buying an elite tech for a bio army, right?
True.
Oh my god, these guys are filibustering the show. You know when you're at the point where, like, you know, you've had like the talent pageant and people were showing off the talents on stage. The person gets a round of cheers and like, oh wow, I'm gonna do it again. And then someone in the crowd goes, get off the stage! This game should have been over several minutes ago. How is it not? Horseman Raid now coming in. The village is doing Dragevann things. This guy's obsessed with Proxy lumber camp lines. Unfortunately for him, that's a massacre.
Yeah, now the mass. Separate out, kind of just separate out, starting to look like a curl tie.
Okay, we can do worse than this landmark. Can we click on the Jushi's library and see how many techs got picked out of it?
There's only got one, I think, now.
It's the north side. I think it's on the tree line he built it. So if we go to Jushi's library, he got one tech. He did get one. Okay, I kind of respect
he did get
that.
10,000 bolts, and he does have 31 crossbows. He has
Does
a
he
lot
have
of shooters.
He does, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Okay. So in fairness, LaSh actually justified it for once, but like 95% of games, that's usually library is AFK.
But hear me out. This is actually a really decent fight because of all the choke points.
Yeah.
Look at the Springles. They're actually unironically they're doing work now,
okay,
and I'm loving it.
But hear me out. LaSh just builds nested bees now. Like he has to know, right? The easy way of mopping this up. I mean, he's going mass horseman, that could work too, but Nest the Bees also does it. There's no way this works, right? I'm just going to keep saying it because I like to believe Cast the Curse works. Nah, it's not going to work.
Nah.
How long it takes to kill one horseman? Okay, so you know how usually trickling troops in is a really bad thing to do? This is where it's good, because if you trickle in, the penetration doesn't matter. And like, if you kill one for one horse... Okay, look at this, is depressing now. All that, we took all this time, built it to 20 plus Springles, for them to die like that!
You built 20 Springles to die like this? Should be the next taunt in the game. Honestly, I don't care. That was beautiful to watch.
Mate, we're in winter. It's going to be spring by the time Springles actually prove to be viable. That it's a reminder that this unit is still absolutely gutted. No hope there. Dragevann now finds himself facing elimination if he drops another game. And LaSh got to be feeling quite confident about that. That was chill mode for about half of the 30 minutes, maybe actually 2/3 of the 30 minutes in this game. You trying to find someone good to say about Springles? They're cheap, you know, like
they're cheap. They don't require setup.
yeah, they're cheap, like a salad from McDonald's compared to like a deli. I mean, the trade-off is it's going to taste like ass, but it's cheap. I think the interesting thing though is I'm already seeing comments where people are like, oh man, yeah, clearly like this wasn't tested out. Why weren't Springles made viable? I'm fine that Springles suck. Am I the only one there? And I'm like, this unit has been viable, has been a core part of the meta of AoE4 for over 3 years. I'm kind of okay if it just has to take a little timey outie while it gets recalibrated. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing.
20 mangonels instead.
I still feel like that is better than building 20 Springolds and not even doing it to kill other units, but doing it to kill other Springolds. You know? Like, at least when 20 mangoes attack 20 mangoes, there's an explosion. Right?
Kaboom.
Right, yeah? Like at least I get to Michael Bay it up. I don't think I'm alone in this. The Springle meta was not fun. And the Mango meta has its own issues. But at least we're progressing somewhere better long term. But for now, we're going to progress to somewhere worse. I know how you all feel about water maps. It's time to dunk in the pond, but don't worry, there's not too many fishies to play around here. English versus French on Lakeside. Was that meant to be? Do you want to twirl your moustache a little bit more as you do that again? We are heading to the Lakeside for a showdown against rivals the English who are waiting on the other side of the English Channel. Who will Normandy who in game number 2?
So, French on this map is actually really, really good. So French in general on these sort of hybrid maps has taken a very... It's taken a 180 turn, to say the least, with the dock, right? So, Dragevann, hopefully he hasn't built a house, thank you. Where's this? Is he missing bills? Sir?
What? No. Why do you think he's missing Vills? Because he's not ahead? It takes 2.66 minutes to get
No.
Well, not 2.6, but, like, yeah, 2.6.
Sir,
So...
there's only 5 bills under his TC.
Oh,
Sir.
Wait. Go back.
Wait, zoom in, Vodka.
Wait. Oh, it's the perfect camouflage! There we go. You never realized it until you kind of aren't on them. There you go. Secret French buffs. Their town center pads these sides perfectly. What is happening? Okay, Dragevann, how many sheep do you now have, sir? Because if we just, I don't think he has many.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no, but is that but those ones are selected as well. So I just want you to be prepared.
Oh, no.
But those 3, you need to minus them from the 10. Grand old start for Dragevann here. Now, he does at least have fishing, right? But the sheep is going to matter because you only get 1 deep water fish on your side and Lakeside. So you max out at like 4 to 5 fishing boats.
So one thing I actually wouldn't mind seeing here.
Pro Scout to pick up the sheep.
Transport ship over, pick up the sheep, and take them back home.
Or we could just pick up the drastic amount of deer first. Right, that might be...
No. You take what is yours, and then you fight.
So you don't think that we should pick up the 32 deer on this map before those 3 sheep? I think it's 30.
Correct.
I'm fine with that, actually, yeah. Screw deer. Well, don't. I mean, they've clearly been breeding too much in this map. There's so many of them.
I mean, you don't want this... you don't want the sheep to spoil, right?
I think there's more... I actually think there's more deer on this map than there are sheep.
Yes, there is. But yeah, so Abbey of Kings going through for LaSh. Abbey of Kings.
Is he going 2 TC?
No.
He wouldn't do that,
Nope.
right? That would be a little bit silly.
So the big question for me actually coming through and going forward in this game is how much are we fighting over water right now?
That's the tricky part. And I've seen, like, this is interesting, because French sometimes on this map try to make it about water because they can get their first boat out quicker than most civs because it's cheaper, right? They save 35 food. The problem is the English save more, right? Well, I think it's actually exactly the same because they get a 10% discount as well. So I think if you're Dragevann, you can open a boat, but the intent isn't to play water. The intent is to distract so that you can get knights onto land.
Yep. And one of the things we haven't really talked about, we have talked about the deer on this map, but Vodka, if you quickly can click on a TC. The thing that is worth noting about this map is that the gold always spawns forward, and you always have a gold in the back, but look at the range at which the gold is. It is very nice and snug under your TC.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing is actually how defendable your corner is. All you have to do is build a wall on the back side of the tree line, and there's no easy dive, because you mentioned it covers the gold. What it also does is covers the short route near the cliff. Yeah, I remember we entered this into the midweek musters. After watching for a week, my thought was like, this map seems to be a lot more defensively favorable than was intended.
Yeah. I think one of the main issues is actually just the cliff is too big.
Yeah, it most definitely is, right? Like, if you made it so that it didn't have anything but, like, the thinnest crust of cliff to stop dot placements, I think you'd have a map where aggro play was more rewarding.
For sure. And we can see now LaSh, he's done that really tiny wall, by the way. So he can't really get raided. And he is actually going to go into a stable player, so we're going to King Horseman.
Yeah, My Little Pony fantasy here, right? Because you have the extra movement speed to disengage from the knights, and then you just hold the choke points. And you can even add in spears on a delay. The other cool thing is this keeps your opponent off of archers. So, like, Horseman spears eventually is just really good for the English.
Yeah.
Oh,
We do
wow.
have knights, so we actually do have a little bit of investment in Dragevann, maybe a little bit more than it needs to.
The interesting part is both play. Yeah, he's doing 2 TC on the deer. I've seen this from Dragevann before. He's a believer, but against English King is the worst thing to do. Oh no.
Don't
It's like, do we just run to the knights? Is that where safety lies? It's not going to be quick. I mean, you don't want to pinch the king either, right? Like, he kills too fast. So Dragavann's at least buying time for the knights to come and protect him. But remember, this king can just beat the crap out of you while you build that TC and then run away afterwards.
Oh!
As long as LaSh remembers to put his spectacles on. It's okay. He's navigating his way through the forest of Braille at this point. Does find his way to the other side. That's going to be at least 2 worker kills. Pinch comes in, though. LaSh is over-panicking. He needs to just get the kill. Get the kill, get out. Waits way too long there. That's unfortunate. Well played by Dragevann.
That was beautiful. I was 100% sure that was just straight-up kills, but now we're actually having a water fight as well, so... That was... I mean, that's the problem, right? We saw, for a quick second there, LaSh actually had shift-clicked all of the villagers... Oh, no. LaSh has actually shift-clicked all of the villagers with his kill, which means that when he lost vision of it, he lost any form of actual attack, right? Yeah, so that means he just completely lost track of them, but now we're just still struggling. The villager lead that Dragevann has right now is just going to be going to 0.
Well, the interesting thing is LaSh intentionally pulled the knights away with his scout, right? So the horseman didn't have to contest this at all. Oh, this is vulgar.
No, it's Volda.
There we go. I was waiting for it. Oh, it's looking like it's going to get vulgar for Volda right now because LaSh is ahead on economy and ahead on water. He gets the sinker. He moves in. The fishing boats are now in trouble. He has way too many of them to actually garrison his side. So Dragevann losing on both water and land currently in this game.
So...
Oh, please bring more villagers. He doesn't have wheelbarrow, though.
He needs to leave his knights here, and that really, really hurts because he wants to be putting some form of aggression. So, the good news is it's French, right? So their villager count isn't actually that bad, even though he's lost 7. He's going to be having 2 TC now, but LaSh has such a clear target to attack. And you talked about the Spearman Horseman earlier. It's exactly what we're going to be having, right? And French, especially when he's lost this many... Has he lost knights? Did he never make knights?
Well, I mean, went 2 TC, right? So he's focused on the TC. And then you have to remember that, like, yes, he got the resource he needed for that for a while ago. But think about all the villagers that weren't gathering because they were running around like headless chickens in the Stealth Forest to build a TC. That's why he doesn't have many knights. Especially when he had to add in, I think it was like, what, 2 more cogs at bare minimum and a demo ship to protect himself. So yeah, costs you quite a pretty penny. As a result, LaSh, I mean, you may notice he doesn't have a king. This is fine. You just want to try to pad your spear count first, and then you can add the king back in.
Yeah, wheelbarrow forestry coming through now. So, yeah, how much does he have to defend his TC? And how much does he have to defend water?
Oh my god.
The answer to water question is none, because he's just going to be losing his entire water equal right now.
Yeah, this is like when historically France just sold their navy. They couldn't afford it anymore. Just give up on it, right? The more you spend on this, the worse it's going to get. So Dragevann is now a land civ, but I've seen him use this type of strategy in the weeklies on Lakeside. The whole logic is that he distracts you long enough on water that he gets advantage out of the 2 TC. I've seen it work for him. This doesn't feel like a game where it's working. He hasn't realized the substantial lead. He's only 4 villages ahead. Actually, it'd be probably 7, right?
It should have been a lot more than what it is. He has started adding in his archers now. He needs to protect them at least, though. Gonna get a pretty decent fight there, I think. He's even going for the 1-1-1 here. So this fight should be pretty good for him, all things considered. Does lose the knight, though, which is not the most optimal thing. But this fight, all things considered, not that bad for Dragevann. And yeah. LaSh might have been skipping a little bit on production here, because Dragevann's production and his military on land right now, not the worst.
Yeah, LaSh, the issue with this is, like, you know, you just got food access, full on water, right? But unlike your standard kind of contested water map, you can't leverage it on Lakeside is the thing. You deny your opponent, but you don't get that double of snowball, which is why, like, Lakeside in theory is a better designed water map, is that it gives you something to fight for in water, but it doesn't make it a definitive advantage that ends the game. That's why you're not seeing LaSh to take full control. And now that he sees the knight count, sees the layering of units, your choices are play the age or tech up. I think from here, tech up makes a lot more sense.
Look at what LaSh has in queue, though. He has +1 range damage, so that could potentially be a bit of longbows.
But that micro leaves many questions to be answered, right? Like, he just got completely outplayed by that one knight at the end. And longbows are coming, so we're going to see LaSh commit to this age. By the time he's ready to come out, surely the second TC's paid off.
Yeah, the longer this goes for Dragevann, the better. Alright. He needs time to build his eco lead. And if he's able to actually be building that eco lead... and also you gotta remember this as well, like Dragevann, even though he's lost a couple of vills, he's on deer, he's on extra resources out on the map, right? So he can pretty safely take this, and Dragevann should probably be even doing, like, he should do one push, put the army back, and honestly just put up a wham wall across half the map.
Yeah, so LaSh's win condition with this type of play is an attack point on the deer that blocks food gathering, right? Because the way this can work for LaSh is, like, the price he's paying is he has to add in farms. That's cheap for English, but it's still expensive, right? Compared to just gathering deer. So if he gets his timing right here, and doesn't have to worry about looking back at his base due to mass knights diving, it can still work out very well here for LaSh. But the window is small to make that play happen, and you never know what you're riding into here, courtesy of all these stealth forests on the south side. Wait, he's trying to trap the knights?
I think so.
Interesting. It's a little bit difficult until you got, I'd say, about like 13, 14 horsemen. Right, because the pincher, you might be able to get 1, but you won't be able to get 2. Drag, getting that info for free. Looks like he's going to be just doubling down on adding in the field age. So, LaSh is going to be committing. We have siege engineering now coming. The question now is whether this is a little bit too early. I mean, you're going to need at least 2 Rams to break this, right? Like, 1 is going to bait attention. I don't think you want that. I think you just want the kill. If you go anything less than 2, you won't be able to break through before the French have a bigger army.
Oh, that tower as well coming up. So one thing that's worth noting, by the way, is that the numbers on top is a little bit inflated. Like, LaSh has 2 military ships.
Yeah.
So it's looking a little bit better for Dragevann. And again, the longer this goes, the better. It's going to take a little bit of time before he has all of the wood he actually can. One ram is not going to be enough to actually be able to push this. He has done such a big farm transition as we hovered over for a little bit. He has 2 full sets of farm. He's starting to add on a 3rd even. And that's a lot of wood investment. That could have been units. That could have been anything else. And it's just like the reluctancy and the, I almost want to say, allergy of an English player. Look at the amount of deer on the bottom side. There's so much free food there, and instead we're opting into farms.
The problem is you're against French Knights, right? Like, if there's a, if you had a list of civs that you don't want to play pocket economy against, French is in the top 3 on everyone's ranking. It's just so dangerous, even when it's a funneled area. So I kind of get where LaSh is coming from, but this feudal push into the TC doesn't make that much sense to me. I would have understood a few defensive units, I would have understood farms, and then Castle Age. And then you just try to come out with stronger units. Instead, these clashes in the feudal age, they're only going to get worse for him from here on out.
Yeah,
trying to retreat away from this.
We can see the pop efficiency of the Knights just doing so well as well, right? LaSh not having a lot of spears here anymore. Anything that he has is all the way in the back, so that's a lot of longbows that's going down, and the second TC stays alive without any further villager kills either. And, well, right now, the Knights is just going to have free reign onto the front line, onto the Horsemen, which is exactly what they need. However, the backside, these few Horsemen actually doing pretty well against these Archers. Going to be losing a couple of those, but LaSh is looking like he might actually be going down here. He doesn't have too much left of him. And this actually could potentially be looking really good for Dragevann, despite losing water.
Yeah, stick a fork in him. He's forked. Yeah, this game is looking pretty done. LaSh is behind by almost 20 eco at this stage. Deep water fish is at least going to be eternal. The farms are going to be eternal, but Dragevann just has so much map to work with that he can just eat off of. He could easily be in Castle Age before LaSh at this rate. LaSh, seeing him get close to that castle trigger being pulled, I think I could kill him here. I think he's waited too long. A White Tower rush up, if Dragevann just burns the wall, will not work.
Yeah, LaSh is going to be going up with the White Tower. He needs to be going up with it. I feel he is going to go for the King's Palace, though, 99% sure, because of that second TC. Because he needs to be extending his eco. He's going to be dropping it all the way in the back, I feel like, in the corner, which does secure him.
On the gold, I think. Right, it's too long of a walk now. Like, you've got the resources.
Maybe. Royal Institute is going to be going up, though, as well. So this is going to be going in those pseudo-Imperial Knights, and that is still an effective way.
You have to. So like, I would defend this to the end of the earth, LaSh. It feels terrible, but if you do not build a White Tower, this Royal Institute playing to Royal Bloodlines kills you. There's no surviving it, right? Like, so actually, it's a necessity for LaSh to do this. It means he's in a really bad position in Hellscape. He does actually need to consider 2 TC behind this because he can't get relics either. But like, this is the correct step. To survive later in this game, this is what LaSh has to do, because the choices he made earlier on were so bad, right? Like, the fight he took was tragic. And I think this is something that I'd say to any player, if they want to improve, you have to accept this, that, like, RTSs and the way that the game flows, it's not a balanced take of, like, oh, I lost this fight and now I can still do the optimal thing. Sometimes you have to do the thing that would seem suboptimal simply to still exist. That's what this White Tower is.
It's an existence. It's a...
It's I get a shot of 5
It's a panic.
minutes, you know?
It's a panic, right? The big thing for me as well, by the way, is like we talked about the cliff and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't cover your right side. It only covers the entrance, and it doesn't actually cover your farms at all. It only covers a small portion of the most optimal way of going in. But look at what the resources that Dragevann is stacking up right now. He didn't press Royal Bloodlines just yet, which, in my opinion, this is a hot take, but I think it's the correct one. You don't care that much about veterancy until you have Royal Bloodlines. At least in queue.
Yeah, in queue, because the time it takes is like less than half for veterancy.
Yeah.
So I agree from that standpoint, for sure. I like these getting cantle saddles. I've seen recently a lot of French players just kind of skipping on it. It's just such valuable tech, right? It increases your DPS in a fight at the start from 9 to 30.
As a
right?
French main, I forget the tech exists.
It's so good, man. You gotta get on that, right? Like, yes, you already hit very hard, but if you think about the percentile increase, you're actually increasing the damage of your melee attacks in the first 5 seconds of the engagement by about 40%.
It's a really, really cracked. And yeah, we see Royal Bloodlines now in queue as well. Actually, Dragevann is going to be... He is just hitting all of the buttons. I think the only unit he's missing right now is Horseman. And then he has everything, except Siege, of course.
Yeah, pretty much. Right, like, I'm trying to think. Well, you could get some boats again. Nah, there's no point going on the water. I think the water on this map is overrated past feudal age. This is what players are learning quickly. Yep. It's only one deep water fish. And the trade is poo-poo.
Yeah, that is something I'm kind of sad we actually didn't see any more of. Which was the initial reaction for a lot of players, which was like, okay, let's just water trade boom on this map.
It's not good. It's like 25 wood, 25 gold each way. Like,
yes,
it's okay, but like it's so expensive to invest in initially.
But say the roles have flipped for LaSh and Dragevann right now, right? In terms of water, actually having a little bit of passive trade, especially when you're like English or French, someone who's very wood and gold heavy, it's not that bad.
To me, the way that trade operates on this map is how it should operate. Which is that it's something you look at when gold isn't available elsewhere. Swallow though.
Please target this one down.
No,
Thank you.
It's gone. I think LaSh, an ambitious step up. He was stockpiling for Imperial. He may end up regretting not spending. Does get back behind the wall. The White Tower's going to protect him. But here's the funny thing, guys. Dragevann is not that far off of a tech up himself. And if I had to choose between a Berkshire or Red Palace, vive la France every day.
Red Palace drop versus Berkshire drop.
Yeah, it's kind of like bolt action sniper rifle versus fully automatic shotgun. You know, like if you're far enough away, the bolty sounds pretty good. But
yeah, but okay, so this is actually really good for LaSh because there's a lot of things just being thrown into just like it's kind of just being thrown
this fight is pointless. Yeah.
Yeah, it's thrown at the wall, right? And Dragevann now, he was floating up to Imperial, and now he's not. He's reinvesting. But again, with the farms, with the play, what it comes down to a lot in this game is the fact that Dragevann has been on these deer. You can kind of just see like there's like a blob on every single step, pretty much. He's gonna like, okay, finish with this one, going to the next one. Finish with this one, going to the next one. If LaSh had almost like met him in the middle, at least like drop the tower or something to at least secure one dare pack, that's a lot of food. And French's weak spot is when they need to be going for that farm transition. Now, one of the things that Dragevann actually has been doing a little bit, which I'm sad didn't really catch on, is that you start your build as French with a farm, because you can afford it.
I think
and also, sorry, can we talk about this? Like,
yeah.
English is going up to Imperial, and their initial gold win isn't done.
I mean, I've seen this so many times. I don't think we need to talk about it, Cal. Like, this is English. Do you not know this is how England works?
I mean, to be fair, he has taken the gold in the back, but like, come on.
I mean, but that gold isn't gone either. So.
Yeah, but still, come on.
Okay, I'm starting to think this is less Royal Britannia and more Brexit. Tech Up comes out, but I mean, this is like all the people are starving in the streets, and you bought all of the cabinet of the government nice Nikes. Like, yeah, it's cool. It looks really flashy, but the reality is, what is the strategy to get this country back on track? LaSh is behind by 40 villages. He is teched up with a small, teensy tiny advantage, and now Dragevann can mirror that with Red Pass himself. He can also just go Trebs. Honestly, I'm surprised Dragevann didn't do this sooner. If he'd just gone Trebs instead of that dive into the White Tower in the first place, that landmark would already be gone. He'd be pushing into the base. Game would be over. Because the weird thing is, although Imperial was good for Dragevann, we have to remember he built the Institute, which means he was already kind of Imperial Age.
Yeah. And the thing as well, right, is due to how the Berkshire works and how the White Tower works as well, they shoot double the amount of arrows. And I don't want to highlight it because it's so absurd. Can we quickly click on the red pals and show the range? No, sorry, Berkshire.
Oh, the bar. No,
The
dude,
Berkshire,
yeah.
Berkshire.
We want to see our sniper rifle, yeah.
It is literally impossible for a cannon, or a royal cannon, or bombard, or culverin, to actually be working on this. It is barely possible on a red palace, it is barely possible on a white tower, and that is without considering height difference.
So the best way to kind of consider Berkshire, I like to just say, if you would just quickly center the camera on Berkshire, just get it right in the middle, like, you know, select it and then actually like press H or whatever it is to follow units, vodka. Because the thing is, when you look at Berkshire, center bound, and then click it for the range, that's when it becomes apparent how stupid it is. It's the entire screen.
I am not sure if... I think it barely doesn't cover the fish.
You need to put a little bit further up.
Barely doesn't cover the fish. And that's like the absurdity. So, yeah, what Dragevann does need to do right now is he needs to just be... He needs to be... I don't want to say
he needs to just capture the sacred side. I'm just going to say it.
Like, sacred side as a timer,
for 5
as
plus
a start.
minutes.
But geometry is in the queue now. And geometry now actually works as intended. So if you hover over it, what it used to do, it used to increase the damage of trebuchets by 20% or 30%. That was the base damage. And if you click on the trebuchet,
damage, baby.
If we click on the trebuchet, 20% of 40 is kind of just 8. And
hey, that's a 20% increase, okay? If I could get that out of my stock portfolio, I'd be very happy.
But what it does now, for those who don't know, if we click on the trebuchet and hover over it as it is geometry is going through, it is actually percentage increase on damage versus buildings. So that means it goes up to 420. And now these trebuchets, plus 8 by the way, so it's more like 30%. Now we're actually starting to get to a pretty decent spot where multiple trebuchets working on these landmarks, working on these buildings, actually is a really, really good option. And I favor it over going for royal cannons.
And here's the thing, right? Like, I think this change, in conjunction with the spring will change. Like, that's what was needed, right? Because we just had a game that showed that spring will suck. And now I'm showing you why it's good that spring will suck. Because Dragevann can build trebs to end this game, whereas normally, LaSh could have built a few Springolds and stopped you from doing that. I think that's a good thing. That now defensive play can actually be punished by trebs in a way that it previously could. That's the positive that we get out of these siege changes in Season 9. Sure, Springolds are still on a journey to discover themselves. They're in a midlife crisis. Buy a Lamborghini. Date a blonde half your age. Take the time and figure out what you need to do next, Mr. Springald, because you'll get there. But once again, in the meantime, for the first time in a long time, trebuchets actually feel good to build.
100%. And well, one landmark down, Sacred Side now starting. The fight's going to be happening. These knights are fully upgraded. And as well, I mean, these man-at-arms just throw them away. You don't really need them. You need a pop chase. Arbitria is now fully upgraded as well with incendiaros, with the +3 damage against these horsemen. The crazy thing is you don't really care that it's horsemen. It could be knight for all that matters. Arbitria is the late game king when it comes to French. You think it might be the royal knights, but honestly, nah, this Arbitria, they slap, they hurt, and now we're even fighting here. This trebuchet is still working, 2 landmarks down, White Tower not being here to help. Berkshire barely helping out, but there's so much ranged armor. I don't think a lot can be garrisoned inside of this inside of this Berkshire either, because you need all of the food, you need all of the gold, you need all of the income that you could possibly get from all of these farms. And LaSh, he is simply just dead at this point.
He's so cooked, he's actually burnt. Like, this is pretty much done. Yeah, if you have to keep remembering about the Arbalest play as well, is the crossbows defensively don't have any advantage at all. The arbitrary with the crossbow stirrups basically mirror out your attack speed buffer, so you're equaling out on that trade and completely losing knights versus horsemen. You know, LaSh, game 1, dragging out, favored him, morale booster. Dragevann comes in and kind of just does the same with this one for an emphatic defeat in the late game, guaranteeing us a decider, one game between these two.
And last map, we are going to Dry Arabia. Without any doubt, where people like to duke it out the most. And yeah, look at this economy count.
I think this.
So
let's just
so
call
going
game
back, yeah. So
was.
going back to the King's Palace.
Yeah, I'd go back even earlier. That this game was on a decided outcome collision point when LaSh went for an all-in feudal play that done nothing. Right? He even preemptively prepped siege engineering. He was so confident that he had the timing. He prepped that before he even got anywhere near the TC. And it backfired hard, right? Like, I think if you want to make that play work that LaSh is going for, 1-1-1 is too expensive. I know Dragevann went 1-1-1, but I think when you're behind already, if you really want to justify that play, it has to be like 2 units, choose 2 units and commit to them. Probably longbow spears.
Oh, sorry,
just
it's
go
Boldland, not Dry Arabia. Oof.
And yeah, Boldland. Yeah. It's well, I mean, it's like it's a dry Arabia, I guess, in a way. You know, not as many fat tree lines initially. And we are going to get the red-yellow flag. So we've got Marlians, which is a comfort pick for LaSh. It's probably his most played civ at this point in competitive. Iobid's on the other side. Dragevann, kind of interesting. He didn't want to do the Byzantines. Didn't favor that into, probably Rus? Because it's quite interesting, actually, as Byzantines are pretty damn effective against Marlians due to the Kyrosiphon early aggro play.
Yeah.
Because the Kyrosiphon, I can't think of a single civ that Kyrosiphon is more effective against than Marlians with the pit mine houses.
Yeah. You can even, like, I think if you get the position right on the Kyrosiphon, you can even attack 2 buildings at once, right? So
sometimes 3.
Sometimes 3, right? And considering the houses are weaker, it's a really, really, really bad one. And honestly, for me, I think Byzantines into Mali is kind of just a best free win, right? Because of that play, because of the tempo, because of the units. But instead, we are going to be having Iobid versus Mali, LaSh's comfort pick, Dragevann's the closest he can get to home with his Abbasid being banned out. But let's get into game.
Exactly what you want to see. You head into a best-of-1 barn burner, and both sides have chosen full comfort here. LaSh.
Wait. What did you call it?
Best-of-1 barn burner. So, well, when your best of 3 goes to the third game, it becomes a best-of-1 barn burner.
Language, please.
What?
Christ. Barn burner.
Barn burner? What's wrong with barn burner?
That's kind of offensive to me.
What? Because the weather makes it impossible for you guys to keep fires alive up there? Why is that offensive?
No. A barn burner. What would you rather let me call it a house burner?
I didn't realize that you all live in barns up there.
I'm a cow. Of course I live in a barn.
No, you live in a ranch. At least you will in this game. So we have got the Donzo opening, which is actually catastrophic for LaSh. This is exactly what you don't want to have to do in the Dark Age. A matchup that should have favored Marlians has gone a little bit weird because Dragevann went for, presumably, an outpost rush beginning.
So, yeah, I mean, this is spicy, to say the least. So that's
this
2
is
villagers.
Really
that's 2 villagers.
bad. Yeah, this is really bad for LaSh because the Donzo javelins take way too long to recharge. He needs to do melee damage. Dragevann he made a mistake there though. He overextended. Like that spinman going down is a big womp. Remember, these Donzos, not only do they have the ability to attack from range, they also have the melee armor.
He has to cancel it and he has to pull back. He does. Oh no.
He misplayed it. He 100% misplayed it. Like Dragevann, I think if you want to do this, you have to build even more spears. The way you make this play work, the reason why Mongols destroy Marlians with this play, by the way, is because a Marlian player can mathematically not keep up with the production rates. Normal spearmen, 20 wood. Those Donzos, 30 wood each.
This is looking brutal. At least the only thing that's like kind of helping is that he should be able to get one villager out, but Wolf is helping. Donsos are getting the wraparound in the micro here from LaSh. Mwah. Magnifique.
Yeah, so we were just saying how this could maybe be IU favored with the opening. We just arrived back at the Malian favored opening here. Spearmen just get mopped up, man. It's just absolutely brutal. The beautiful part is LaSh has all these injured spears, right, potentially. That's not a bad thing, because that's a hybrid range unit. So it doesn't turn into something that just dies at the beginning of a fight. It turns into something that you just keep back and keep poking with.
And now, Dragevann. He has gone for the cheap rage up, the culture rage up advancements. So,
oh god, we're doing pro scouts, aren't we? I mean, he has to because it's Malians. This is something that Dragevann and MSN in particular I know are very big fans of, is the advancement wing into fast pro scouts. Now, the interesting thing about this one, Cal, is I wouldn't exactly call it fast pro scouts. We're past the 5-minute mark. The aggro kind of skewed things in a weird way for Dragavann's strategy here. This feels almost more recovery arc than intentional.
I think you're just fast castle.
What, Ibit?
Yes.
Advancement into growth wing. Honestly, sounds like you read the build order in the wrong order.
I think I did. But I don't think you can... No, you need to stay in feudal. You need to stay in feudal and fight this. You need to keep on the pressure.
You're going to be that person, aren't you? We're breaking up. Tomorrow, I love you. We're breaking up the next... I love you. It's like, it's understandable. That opening just kind of frags your brain, right? It's very unorthodox what LaSh done. Like, Malians don't usually want to do that. And hilariously enough, it could have just fallen apart if Dragevann had just kept ramping additional units. But, I mean, this type of position, right? Like, we have pro scouts on the way already for LaSh. Dragevann isn't mirroring. Oh my god, dude, he's proxy basing, for God's sake. Well, if you're going to go out, you might as well go out doing what you love and do literally every other game. So, I'm going to explain why this is good. Do you want to get the vodka ready? Not our observer, just actually get the alcohol ready. You need to be a few drinks in for it to make sense. So, if there was ever any meta where Dragevann could level up to the next point as a player with his strategies, this is the meta. Do you know why? Because pro scouts makes you not scout. And how do proxy bases work, Cal?
They work by not being scouted.
Boom. So there you go. Now, this is 100% a gamble for Dragevann, because he's done it on a map that is freaking terrible for proxy bases, because there's too much deer everywhere. But the logic is on, say, a dry Arabia, if you scout the map and see where the deer are, and move your proxy base to where the deer are not, it should never get scouted before you have a big enough army to win.
So, but yeah, like back to the initial play that... Back to the initial play that Dragevann was trying to do, by the way, it was this, right? He wanted to just get the tower up, so he can garrison inside of it, get a Dark Age ram, because remember, IU-bits can do that.
Yep.
So he would just be able to get a Dark Age ram, start hammering on this, even more, start hammering on the pit mine, and just prevent so much from LaSh. Because I wonder, even, like, maybe the timing, because you have, like, 3 houses, does the ram and the spears take out the pit mine fast enough as to the point where you don't have enough gold?
No, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Because you start with 100, right? So, like, you don't actually need it that long, and the ram's really slow.
Well, I mean, we tried the tower.
Well, I mean, dude, he killed some houses, right? That's some homeless bum Malians on the streets tonight. So, morale victory?
I mean, so the good news here is that LaSh doesn't have a pit mine anymore. He only has his Mounts of Quarry. And Dragevann is also up in... He's up in villagers, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that's
Wait,
also
what?
worth noting... No, sorry. Up in military, my bad.
I was like, have I been reading this game wrong?
He was
Yeah.
for a tiny second.
The worker kills flipped it, yeah.
Yes. So the thing here is that LaSh's LaSh's defensive advantage is kinda evened out by the proxy base here. And we're just gonna keep on hammering at this one for a while. And LaSh is so scared, and he needs to be playing so tightly in his base because of the aggression that Dragevann is putting on, that he isn't able to fall back into the safe gold that he has in the back.
Uh-oh. Well, that gold ain't safe either. Check this. Donzo's raiding on the other side of the map. Dragevann being found on the jackpot. Lash, what a move as well. You know, when you get too far away, he's going to have those hybrid attacks to finish off. Won't even need him by the looks of it. Final stabs come in, and that is another 2 worker deaths. Lash now ahead by 4. Starting to reach the eco advantage where he could just start to blob up mass archers to get out of here.
Archer mass, I mean, and this is also a problem, right? Like LaSh, he wants to be building jabs right now, but a really good way to actually be countering Malians is just spamming spears. And by spamming spears, you don't have a lot of archers. And
Kobe.
that guy just... Okay, that's cheating.
He
That's
literally
cheating.
set fire to his javelin and threw it. That's not cheating, that's just smart fighting, okay?
I mean...
Who's going to fight back better, the guy who's impaled or the guy who's impaled and being cooked?
I mean, if we have poison archers and incendiary arrows, might as well have...
I don't know why we don't have that.
Incendiary arrows should work on Donzos. At least the first one.
I mean, like, here's another idea. Why don't we just have why don't we have an ability to, with the Byzantines, just chuck their own oil over them, and then Incendiary Arrows does 50% more damage.
I mean, they have Greek fire, right?
Yeah.
But we actually have a pretty decent fight here now for LaSh. I mean, the javelins here is able to take a pretty decent fight.
Oh
not
my god.
going to be taking any damage from those spears at all, because
the spears
there's
are
a
chasing
sofa.
the wrong thing. Like, this is ridiculous. He has to prioritize the sofa, but there's no movement speed. You can't catch them at all. So instead of this being an advantageous play with a bigger blob, he just got Mr. Blobby. 6 javelins takes down the entire mass just through kiting. And at this stage, Dragevann, he did get a few worker kills. It looks like there might have been some idle time or housing issue for LaSh, because should it be a bigger worker lead? But the counter-offensive is on now. You have invited LaSh to play the Age. You have actually opened up the map for him to just come to your base now and stay there until the end of time.
Yeah, this... What is the switch that we need to do here for Dragevann now is my question, right?
Well, not Desert Raiders, because this is literally the worst civ to do that against. So anything else, and that means you're basically playing a poor man's Abbassids, right? So for Dragevann to potentially win this, you would legit just have to blob spears. But LaSh is already aware. He's putting archers. And this horseman reaction.
I mean, okay, so this works. This works.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
But this is like blind punting and guessing right? Like, Dragevann doesn't know that LaSh has stopped building Donzos. He's just assumed.
Yeah, but it works. It works, and that's the most important part. This is a way for him to get back into the game. Like, he still has his berries. I'm not sure on the sheep count. I wouldn't be surprised if Dragevann has ever or even dropped some farms. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
So do you want the comical element here? Start this game talking about how people, you know, the scouting meta and how people don't scout. LaSh isn't scouting.
Proxy, no? Oh, no, he must have passed.
He hasn't scouted the horseman transition, right? Like, he has 4 scouts. He's so busy eating, he's not actually seeing, right? And if he saw, he could simply Donzo archers win the game. So actually, Dragevann has an opportunity to stick LaSh's head in the dirt. We do have Donzos getting queued up again. LaSh might have got a glimpse of one of the horsemen there with the javelin, which would feel like a bit of a blunder because Dragevann hasn't been using those horsemen. So if you're not going to use them, make sure you don't reveal them.
Yeah, this could work really, really well. He even made a scout, right? he made a scout. That's the key part. That's the key part. He lost the scout and then he's made it. And now he's going to get in this beautiful surround here. LaSh does not have any blacksmith upgrades. These should just be taken out in one instance. And the military lead that LaSh has instantly flipped over because of the fact that he didn't scout.
Yeah, and LaSh is really struggling with these worker production issues, right? Like, this is not the first series I've seen him do this. He's been skimping. He should be ahead by 3 villages. He's ahead by, I think, about 1.5. Right? So Dragavann's been very clean on constant production, but LaSh has been having these little gaps seeping through. And I think it's because LaSh usually gets a little bit too focused on what's happening in the mid-map, microing his groups, forgets to just make that instinctual muscle memory to toggle back, click up, toggle back, click up. So yeah, definitely feels like LaSh is given Dragevann more of an opening because of that, right? Because if you had a 4+ worker lead like all the time, we did have it for quite a while, the lead for Malians would just be absurd. You'd be able to add in ranches at this point.
Yeah, and speaking of ranches, I think just like the first couple of cows are just coming. No, sir,
none.
sir.
No, we eat those. We eat those. Cow, get on the table, lay on the plate. We're hungry, okay?
I was going to say something, but I won't remain professional.
Not you. We don't want you on the plate, okay? We need you to eat some more grass first, okay? These cow, we are going to munch down upon. LaSh, starting to blow up with the Donzos. I would love to see him adding in a few Sofa, but at this point it's too late. Dragevann is already on his way to Castle Age.
Yeah, Growthwing is a really, really nice option. Dervish is too. But I am afraid that if you click on the House of Wisdom right now...
Gamblewing. Oh my god, I knew it!
Look,
right,
so what is a
guys.
good counter to javelins? Well, like, he's been playing AoE too. What is a good counter to skirmishers?
I mean, this is like...
More skirmishers.
So, here's the problem. Skirmishers get bonus damage against light, right? Like, but the javelin's going to counter them in return anyway.
Yeah.
You're just going to lose to javelin. So, you need to get double Bedoan swordsman. That's the only way this makes any sense. And this is the thing. Dragevann, he's in a competitive series, in a qualifier for a tournament. So there are some people that enter the casino and they play poker. They understand the strategy. There's an element of gambling, but it's theoreticals and skill. And then there's some people, Cal, that walk immediately over to the roulette table. Dragevann is a professional roulette player.
And he's not even 18, so I'm not even sure how that one works.
He's lanky. Maybe, I don't know, just wear a fake mustache. It might be able to pass. There's going to be a really important detail coming up. We're going to want to glance exactly what that first push of units is going to be. If it is not double Bedoan, I think he's dead.
Javelins could work too. Or sorry, skirmishers, my bad. It's just something that needs to be careful of. And also the fact that like Dragevann is proxy base in this situation when LaSh is deciding to push here is going to be working against him a little bit because of the fact that it's a proxy base. He doesn't have it at home to actually be defending against him. He's taking the fight a little bit too early.
He gets caught. He doesn't feel like he run away there. So bad clash. He did at least get the Bedoans. But losing a lot of army here is unacceptable. LaSh already has double the military force and he's getting ready for his own tech up. Likely going to be looking at Farimba here with the pro scouts with a lack of any ranches at all. It will give him the option to go into Mansa Musafadi, which will be the counter to this Lancer play.
You think Freeman?
I mean,
Freeborn.
He could go Freeborn as well, right? Like, because he's got enough Donzos to block the Lancers. It's either Mansa Musafadi or Freeborn. I'd say it's about 65, 70% likelihood of Freeborn here. If he loses too many Donzos, Mansa's just going to make too much sense.
But now, though, I mean, this is really... I think this is a decent fight for Dragevann if he commits to it.
I mean, is it against this many range units?
Never mind.
I think you're believing too...
I'm
believing. So here's the thing, Cal. Cal, you right there, watching those Bedoan swordsmen walking in, that was the Indiana Jones movie. You're like, wow, this guy's got some moves. But you forgot, gun or range in this case beat swords. Dragevann sent packing back into the back of his base.
I feel like this is one where it's just like, did you know that that scene was made because
Oh no, I've already
Harrison
played that so
Ford
many
was
times.
he was sick and whatever.
He was sick. He had food poisoning. You can see it when you go back and watch it. You can see it in his face. I imagine if we had Dragavann's camera right now, you'd see a similar look on his face. This is pretty brutal. Gulam's getting added in. This should have been Mansa Mustafadi. After that fight, LaSh should be getting Mansa, and if he does, it's just a win. Oh boy. And what the Oh no.
So yeah, he's gonna fight back with these. He's gonna drop off.
This is
and then
game.
he's gonna fight back.
The losses here just simply unacceptable. He doesn't even realize.
So he's gonna be trying his best to raid back here, right? So LaSh actually hasn't had two pit mines working this entire game, which is an eco advantage. Freeborn is going to be coming in now as well. And the mobility and almost using this as a bait. And remember as well, like one of the things that we haven't really talked about from Gumbo Wing, which is not unreasonable, is literally being able to get yourself a second TC in an instant.
I feel like if you second TC, he died for him below. He needs to actually get military advantage. Like, villagers are being great at least.
Builds, though. A lot of idle time, getting a lot of villager kills here now. Gonna be using these camel lancers, and the villager lead is just equalized.
And LaSh, he just made a blunder there. Like, instead of going towards the enemy base, he came back. I can't believe that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, this is what Dragevann needs to do. He needs to raid himself back. And this is why I was talking about that second TC. If he gets 2 ticks of stone, mine 50 stone, get back home, drop a second TC, start securing up some food resources, and see, as Vodka talked about, he has 0 food income. He doesn't have a villager in queue. He has dervishes at least, but that's still not going to be helping him. So he needs to figure out something really, really quick. If that is getting some good food trades from the Gumbo Wing, or just buying himself some food right now, because he needs something. And he's even out of wood. He needs to be moving out. This is such a critical time for LaSh, and he's using that timing exactly as he needs to.
And here's why I said that berry raid is game, right? It's almost like you see the checkboard ahead, right? It's a simple 1-2 move. Dragevann done great to get the counter-offensive, but it cost him lancers he can't afford to lose. LaSh's army is stationed outside of his base, substantially larger and capable of swinging its way around. A lot of gold is needed for Dragevann to work. So right now, LaSh's pro should be blocking out the veins. He's going to move in, see no gathering here. That's suspicious as all hell. Why would an IBID player in Castle Age that when Dragevann not be on a vein? There is only one logical outcome. LaSh needs to be checking north.
Maybe the hesitate. I mean, no, he's not even hesitating. I think it's just he knows he's smelling it. But look at this though. Dragevann bought stone. Use some of it for a sprinkle line placement. He's buying another set, dropping a second TC. It is a way for him. It is a way, but it needs time.
Yeah, and this comes down to the scouting game we talked about. LaSh has got 2 warrior scouts. Practically all the deer. Well, actually, no, there's loads of deer left, right? Like, so not everything has been like exhausted as options here. I think LaSh just needs to pump probably about 5 more scouts, send 2 of them to actually check on what your opponent's doing, send the rest to pick up the food so you can keep the freeborn pump going. To me, LaSh is being a little bit too casual, right? Like, this is reminiscent of game 1, but the difference is in game 1, he was really, really far ahead, and you couldn't see a way that Dragevann could come back. And while this is still looking pretty dire, the RNG of Dragevann in conjunction with 2TC does offer up slightly more viability for recovery for Dragevann. Now, I'm still half on the hoping with it.
Ooh. Wait, that Springle shot might have actually given him away. Okay, never mind. Okay, he doesn't sense it just yet. But he's still out on it. He's dropped the market.
He's going to see it now.
Yeah.
Surely. He's going to get hit in a sec. The Sofas are marching over. He's going north side. That's it. Dragevann Gold is about to starve out in a game where he also is already starved out on food. 20 food income. Let's just stop denying it. Call a spade, and take that spade and bury a hole 6 feet deep and stick this Norwegian in it.
This is not a good day for me, is it? First is he cow slaughtered, and then is he a Norwegian slaughtered.
And then something Volta Esports. So great. Should we check in MSS to see if things are going? I mean, it's a bit of a rough one. I think, you know, there's some crafty play about what Dragevann done here. I think I go back to the draft options. Like, he had Byzantines. The other option for LaSh we said he had, what was that? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Rus. Yeah, I think you can play Byzantines into Rus. Like, it's a bit tricky because of Horse Archer Fast Castle for sure. And, you know, Pro Scouts, like, Byzantines sucks against the Pro Scouts meta. You can't really go for it, but you have your own timings in mind. This was a cool idea, but the punt failed. And I think what Dragevann will take away from this isn't that you need to get Byzantines, even though I think it probably would have been a better choice. Just knowing his player on the other side loves Malian so much. What we'll take away from this is he did not micro those initial spears well enough. Like, losing that first one on the gold was unacceptable. That is exactly where it snowballed, because you mentioned it. He was clearly intending a ram after the outpost. He's thinking 2 steps ahead instead of 1. You begin that game, you begin that play by flooding spears.
Yeah, for sure. If there was more spares, right? He stopped at 4, right? And LaSh kind of kept on going. He lost 1, so he had that, and then he kind of just lost 2 vills that early, which is really, really, really bad at that stage of the game. It's bad enough that you kind of just have to cancel your tower and walk back home, but even losing those villagers is such a big thing at that stage of the game, right?